What is going on? You are listening to Tags Podcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 738. I am your host, Steve V, alongside holding down the fort because we're in a snow blizzard storm. Is the one and only Cody Maurice Doggett. How the hell you doing, Cody?
Hello, darling. I'm wonderful. Sheltering in place. How are you?
Sheltering in place, girl.
Girl.
I mean, it's crazy.
The shelter is real.
The shelter is real when we are in the second of a snowstorm blizzard conditions. And it's, I just think, the stores are crazy. It's just going to be a mess for several days. Diego was just shoveling his car out of it. He loves this weather, though. So for him, it's great. But it's real. And I think most of us are sick of it and just want to
right. Definitely. That is mine.
Oh my God. Cannot wait for summer. And And as a result, one of our co-hosts, Jeremy, was going to be on the show tonight, or today when you listen to this, but he is working to remove some shoveling and snow. So he is a little bit busy today. So Good luck, you and I holding down the fort. One thing that I thought was kind of funny was that got everybody kind of in a frenzy was our own mayor here in New York. Did you hear about what Mandani said?
I reposted it. It was fantastic.
I have it right here somewhere that everybody was quoting. Can you read it? Because I just lost it. Oh, there it is.
Oh, you got it?
He wrote locked, loaded, plowing, which set everybody into a frenzy. First of all, he's super good looking, but then everybody was just locked, loaded, and plowing. Track our fleet out in real time. Somebody wrote.
He knows what he's doing. I said, thank you, Daddy.
Yep. Somebody wrote, Daddy Zoran is a Dom top. Locked, loaded, plowing. And then they wrote fleet again was another one. So somebody wrote, he's preparing for the next time Hudson Williams is in the city. I liked that as well. So, we were locked, loaded last night playing games here. We cooked up a storm, probably ate too much because I'm just not feeling my best today, but that's okay. And it was a whole thing. But we were going to do a whole episode that was based off a story that QWERTY posed the question, when we first knew, stories from the closet. And we were going to really kind of dive into when we knew we liked guys, those sparks and everything. It just didn't seem right to do today with everything that it seems to be going on in Puerto Vallarta right now. And if you know anything about our community, about myself personally, my sister has a condo. We're there. I'm scheduled to go out there in April, and it is just a huge destination for our community. And unless you were living underneath a rock, Puerto Vallarta, as well as other parts of Mexico, were under threat due to a cartel, the killing of a cartel, which is somehow linked back to the pressure that Donald Trump put on the Mexican government to get rid of this guy. They actually helped the Mexican government find this notorious cartel leader and kill him. Well, that just threw everything into a frenzy. Yeah, they got this guy, but in response, his minions, the cartel's minions, drew fire to Puerto Vallarta, lighting cars, buses on fire, blocking roads. People were killed, and it's just caused incredible chaos in Puerto Vallarta. This all happened Sunday, the 22nd. And today, I understand, I've been keeping up with it all day long with my friends that are there, performers, people that couldn't get out of town. It's just been, they're still in a shelter in place zone over there. But one of the things, and we'll get into it a little bit more, is why I wanted to talk about it, is because I'm so concerned about family, friends, and everybody out there to be safe. But also, it's just one of those things that I hope it doesn't turn into a situation where nobody wants to go there anymore. And I'm afraid that will happen. And if I could just, before we get into it, somebody posted something that said, if you ever thought Mexico was a third world country, look at all the mass killings that happen in the United States per year, given per year. It's,
Yeah.
astronomical. And it's like, look
Like,
in the
I'm
mirror.
I'm thinking to myself, who would say that? I don't understand why people get these ideas about certain places. But okay, I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much that people will be saying that, but also it's just there might just be like a fear that goes. I remember
Yeah.
for a while in Rio, and I love Rio, Brazil, and for a while there in within the zone of Rio de Janeiro and the neighboring areas, it was considered a little bit dangerous, like with pickpocketers, and
Mhm.
some of the violence that was occurring was amplified, and people just weren't going there. And I understand that people now still go there; they're back to going, which is really good. But Puerto Vallarta or any destination is a place where we feel like ourselves. It's our community. People have made their residencies home there, like Mama Tits,
Yeah.
not originally from there. Head of Lettuce, not originally from there, makes her home there now. She's a performer, and I could go on and on, as well as Jet Jet's Naked Beach Tours, and it's just to see. I just saw a message with Jet, and he said that we're all in lockdown. We're listening to it. He's safe. His All his tours are currently canceled, but that
Yeah.
they will come back and they will be back stronger than ever. And that's kind of what I wanted people to know for this episode. But I guess if we could just ask a question too, what was when have you felt safe and seen when you've traveled to Puerto Vallarta before?
Oh, every single time. I've always felt like it was a place where our community could thrive and where we could be ourselves. Mexico is such a beautiful place, and I feel like that is not amplified, but it's very noticeable in Puerto Vallarta because I feel like so many people in our community go there and they thrive. So I just love it there. I think it's like you, it's one of the places that I feel most seen and most kind of at home, even though, I'm Puerto Rican, but like I'm not Mexican, but I still go there and I think that it's amazing and the culture is so rich and I've learned so much from going there. So, yeah, I think every single time I've gone and I can't even imagine what people are going through because for us that is such a safe space and I
Right.
think that what's going on now is kind of shining light on some things that could transpire, but that I don't think will continue. I think this is like it's retaliation, and I
Yeah.
think that it should die down. I really, really hope that it dies down, and that we can go there and we can still feel safe in that space because it was really special. It really is special.
It is really
Still,
special, and I do think it is about sending a message that for the loss of their horrible leader, but Puerto Vallarta has long been a second home for me and for so many in our community, like you just stated. And like I said, in light of this recent violence and unrest, we are shifting a little bit of focus here, and we're talking about queer travel, safety, resilience, and what it means when a place that feels like paradise is suddenly shaken. So it's really not about fear, it's about perspective, it's about solidarity, and it's about loving a place and its people while also being honest about reality. If PV has ever been meaningful to you, and I know so many of our listeners make it their second home, go there all the time. And so for many of us, PV isn't just a vacation spot. It's where we felt free, like you stated, where we've held hands without fear, where we built that chosen family. Uh, that's what we're talking about: queer travel and safety, how to stay informed. The one thing I'm really loving about this is that the people that are there are in it right now, sheltering in place and listening. But they said that the locals have really worked with them so much. People that have been in hotels have really taken care of them with food and trying to get information out there. But this is one time where social media, like on the ground, your sisters, your brothers, you're getting up to the minute information. And because Puerto Vallarta is built on levels and rooftops, people can kind of go to the top and kind of see what's really happening. They were doing it
Yeah.
yesterday when these fires were happening, but this is one time when social media is really a benefit, I think.
Oh yeah, this is what this was. What social media was kind of made for is to
Yeah.
keep the people informed by the people. So I think, I think that's kind of why they want to put limits and restrictions and sanctions on it. But this is the power that we hold in our hand now with social media. And like, there's a lot we could say about social media, how it reinforces such negative stereotypes and body images and all that stuff, all that jazz. But it comes along with the positives of being able to communicate and disseminate information just by being ourselves, and with that in our hand we could actually reach thousands or millions of people just by having our phone in our hand and being able to go live on Instagram or what have you, TikTok. But
Yeah.
I that's really powerful, and I think that's what we should be utilizing social media for mainly, and seeing some thirsty pictures as well too.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I also think there can be misinformation that can happen too, and you always want to check with the local authorities. And the U.S. Embassy hopefully is putting out proper information. I understand that there was a whole thing on Reddit that said that they had taken over the airport, and it turns out that really wasn't true. And so, when it comes to things like your travel, check with your government as well, first and foremost, too, and with local authorities, because they're going to be giving you more of that. But if you want more like what we're talking about, just how are your friends, family, and how is everyone coping? Those have been some of the things that I've been really happy to see, with the resilience and not letting fear control a place that we all love, that I think so many people, or at least within the queer community, are really talking about. It is sad though, because I mentioned that my sister has a place that we rent out and we
Hmm.
use Airbnb, and we had a straight man with his daughter staying there for the first time. I think she's a young
Hmm.
girl, and they've decided to cancel their reservation, and so
Wow.
we gave back
Yeah.
their money just because we don't want them there if they're not um, feeling safe. So, unfortunately, there are going to be stories like that. I do think it's going to be our community, though, that keeps Puerto Vallarta, gets it back sooner than later. That's really my hope, because I really do think this was a scare tactic. And I do feel, we're going to keep up to the minute information going. But um, yeah, I just think that we got to remind people. I mean, it's always felt like, I've always said it's felt like a home away from home, and from the community, the people that live there, the locals, to really, like we said before, walking down the streets hand in hand, all of the places that you can visit that support you, weddings that people actually make it their wedding destination. They go on honeymoons there. They meet their first person. So it's those times where, I mean, you want to be safe, but you also want to support a place that this wasn't their fault. And it's not like something occurred that was homophobic towards our community. It's a larger issue, and I think
Yeah.
you do need to keep up to date with some of this stuff. I just don't want people to be in fear mode, and now we're not going to go there for the next year and not support or cancel plans that we already had, because I just think, I'm going in April, and I bought my
Hmm.
tickets. One of our mutual friends, she's joining us, and she knew all about this all day yesterday, and she's told me today, booked my ticket. We're there in April, and so that's the kind of resilience I want to see. And she's an ally, of course, to our community. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what would you say to all that?
I mean, it's not directly directed at us. I think that it's, like you said, it's retaliation. So I don't know if there is a reason for our community to fear going there, honestly. I think, yeah, like you said, we should just take all this in stride and see where it ends up and then make decisions from there. Don't necessarily jump to any conclusions.
Yeah, and sending lots of love and support to the
Yes,
people there that
always.
are trying to really rebuild after the horrible destruction of fires, buses. I understand that right before we went on, Uber isn't still working, but the local cafe where we go to in Versailles is back open, and some small stores, bodega type stores, are reopening up, so you can get some food and some essentials that you need, water, of course. And little by little, I think we're seeing that. But there's going to be, with burnt cars and buses just left in the middle of the road, Zona Romantica, the area that so many of us go to be queer and be ourselves, is very a small area that has narrow streets. And so if there's cars blocking streets in there, it's going to be a minute to clean up all that and to get it back up and running. And yeah, so our hearts and prayers are with them, and we'll continue to talk about this. And if you have stories, bring it over. Continue the conversation. Share some of your stories. We're live on Wednesday over to our Tags Patreon community. Even if it's just you want to share your personal story or what Puerto Vallarta means, we'll continue this on Wednesday as well. But you can go to patreon.com/tags podcast. And yes, take a breath with me. When the world feels uncertain, when headlines feel loud, when a place you love feels shaken, pause. Confidence isn't ignoring reality. It's staying grounded inside of it. You can care deeply, you can stay informed, and you can choose calm over chaos. That's what my new app, Connect and Confidence, is about. Building the inner steadiness that lets you move through life with clarity, not fear, because the safest place you'll ever stand is within yourself. Join us inside Connect and Confidence. Simply go to studio.com/SteveV/connect. Again, studio.com/SteveV/connect. Okay. Well, let's get into some hot topics because it seems like the world is falling apart, but we are there still. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's just like,
Right.
and then we've got the
Yeah.
snowstorm. It's just like, my goodness.
So many things going
Yeah.
on. But yeah.
Well, the Tennessee House passed a controversial bill that would allow is trying to get this bill passed that would allow private citizens to not recognize gay marriages. Can you believe that the Tennessee House of Reps
Mhm.
passed a bill Thursday morning that says private citizens and organizations are not bound by the 14th Amendment or the Supreme Court decision that allows gay marriage? It's entitled House Bill 1473, sponsored by Representative Gino Bulso, a Republican, which would allow people and organizations to choose not to recognize gay marriage. The bill specifically points to the interpretation of the 14th Amendment from the 2015 Supreme Court decision in Obergefell versus Hodges, which did legalize marriage, as we all know. Bulso was met with jeers as he introduced the bill on the House floor. Quote, "This is a bill that does not change existing law, it simply clarifies existing law." Well, people were asking him, what does that even really mean? If it's not changing it, it's clarifying. Asked if the bill by a Democrat would deny anyone equal protection under the law, to which he replied, no, this bill does not deny equal protection by the state to any person. Harris then read him Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, which says no state can make or enforce any law to deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process. Bulso again said the bill does not deny equal protection. Is this just like a lot of, because it's not really going to go anywhere,
Malarkey.
malarkey to, yeah, I love
I
that
want to see the
word.
return to malarkey.
Yeah, come on, Biden. Where, what a waste of time for
Yeah.
Tennessee and for your representative to be putting this forth that really he's not clear on what he really means. I mean, we know where this is coming from. It's a
Hmm.
conservative probably trying to get himself elected as a Republican that is homophobic.
Yeah, also he's kind of just throwing shit on the wall to see if it sticks. I feel like maybe he's like, "Oh, maybe I'm going to just try this and if it works, it works, but if not, it'll give me some attention so when I run, then I'll get elected again or
Yeah.
whatever." And I think it's just ridiculous. People like this that want to deprive other people of their rights are the worst kind of people. And I feel like, yeah, he's trash. Trash.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Staying here in America, this is really crazy because wing uh, right wing think tank Heritage Foundation just hired a former gay porn star by the name of Corey DeAngelis as education fellow. He used to go by Seth Rose as a past porn star on Gay Hoopla, and the the education reform advocate and best-selling author Corey, this is what they wrote. Corey A. DeAngelis is joining the Heritage Foundation as a research fellow. The Daily Wire has learned, making a significant new hire as the conservative think tank reshapes its staff following months of internal conflict. DeAngelis will serve as a research fellow in Heritage's Center for Education Policy, where he will focus on advancing school choice, challenging teacher union power, and addressing cultural issues surrounding race and gender in education. Oh, wow. He is the author of The Parent Revolution. Interesting. And he thanked everybody for this new, he was let go in the past for his for them digging up his work as a porn star. And now he's almost being lauded for being, what do you say to this? And the Republican Party for putting somebody like this in. I mean, it's who knows where this think tank is going to go, the Heritage Foundation, and putting him in charge of, which I love, he wrote a children's book. And you know how Republicans feel about children, and not only just being gay, calling us groomers, but actually a porn star.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but you know what? He's aligned himself with this right wing, anti LGBTQ plus um, uh, rhetoric, and I feel like that's something that I don't, I try not to think about people like this too much, but he's really just they can't look at him with any kind of like positive light. Like the fact that he did this, yeah, he could be redeemed. You're not your past, but I feel like they're always going to be looking down their nose at him. This is something that he said it was a mistake from his past, and I really don't understand or see how he can go from being accepting and actually going to do this. He's trash too. Trash number two. Boom.
Yes. We'll end on that part. Yeah. Well, if you're frustrated with what's going on here in America, the European Parliament agreed to a resolution that says that trans women are women last Wednesday. And the resolution was to adopt recommendations concerning the European Union's priorities for the 70th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women, which is set to take place next month in New York. The UN Commission on the Status of Women is charged with promoting gender equality across the globe. So it took the European Parliament to recognize that trans women are women and are doing something with it in the upcoming meeting here that will take place. What about our own country, Cody?
Are you kidding? This is this is not something that's going to be happening here.
Yeah.
The acknowledgement by our government that trans women are women. I can't even get the run of the mill Joe on the street to say that. So I don't foresee it happening here anytime soon. Maybe in a couple of years when we're out of this administration. But who knows if we ever do get out of it.
Yeah.
But I am in agreement that trans women are women. And, I feel like a lot of trans women, because I watch T.S. Madison a lot,
Yeah.
love her. And she's very adamant about saying that, she's a woman, but she's a trans woman. She doesn't
Right.
know cisgender women experiences. And I think that's an important distinction that a lot of people need to see, is that not necessarily are trans women trying to take cisgender womanhood away from them. They are just trying to be included in the woman conversation that goes on. And
Yeah.
I'm all for that, and I think that as soon as people kind of understand and accept that we're not trying to take anything away from anybody, or they're not trying to take anyone from anything away from anyone. They just want to be included. And I think that more people will be more accepting of it.
I 100% agree. Yeah, it's so funny. I had to renew my passport earlier today, and
Hmm.
the if you go on there with the current administration, it's basically when you choose your gender, it's male or female. There is no other options, and I
That's
understand
sad.
that they were changing that with the last administration, but nope, not on this one. And I had a choice, and that fit my who I am, but imagine all the people that do identify as trans that
Yeah.
can't do that. And
It
I
must be
was,
like incredibly like divisive. It must make you feel small and
yeah,
reject and dejected to not be able to find yourself or see yourself in a lot of these forms. So I can only imagine.
yeah, absolutely. Tim Gunn was on a recent podcast, Chelsea Handler's podcast, Dear Chelsea, and was talking about why he's been celibate for the last 43 years. Let me read you the quote, which is crazy, but maybe you'll understand a little bit more once I read this. He said, I've been in New York for 42 years, 43 years I've been celibate. I had a very serious 9-year relationship in Washington, D.C., and I loved this person deeply and would have done anything for him. And I still remember the night that it all ended. We were in bed watching MASH, and he said to me, I have no patience for you any longer. I want you to leave. I had my own
Oh
apartment,
no.
but I had been living with him for years and I left. I had to pull off because I was hyperventilating. I was beside myself with self flagellation and self pity, and it was awful. And this is someone I worked with. So it wasn't as though I just would never see him again. And one of the things that he told me that night was that he'd been sleeping with just about everything that walked by, and I had been loyal and faithful to him. He was the
Oh
only
my
person I'd
God.
ever been with. And this is the advent of AIDS. It was 1982. The self pity then turned to completely unbridled anger because I thought he may have given me a death sentence. I was tested every 6 months for 10 years for HIV, and thankfully I had a clean slate. But whenever I was even tempted to engage in something that could become serious with someone, all this would come back like Niagara Falls and it would just take the desire away. And I have to say, being celibate and being someone who lives alone was a bit of an adjustment, but now I wouldn't have it any other way. Whew, that's what do you say to all that?
That's a lot. I could never do this. I'm going to speak from my perspective because I don't want to put anything on Tim Gunn. If he's happy, I'm happy for him. But me personally, that would be kind of like it would be something that I would be very sad if I lived that way. I was trying to find a nice way to say it, but it
Mhm,
would
yeah.
be kind of disheartening. It would make me feel very lonely in order to not be able to not only have sex because whatever, but I feel like when you don't go out there and look romantically or try and feel romantic feelings towards someone else, another person, it really would kill a part of me. So I'm happy for him that he is happy in this, but I think for me, I could never want to live a life without romance.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, it's nuanced in many ways. Where for starters, it's like, wow, 43 years you've been celibate, and when you look back on it, it doesn't seem that it was just like a choice. Like often, we've had people talk on this show before that they choose celibacy for spiritual reasons and for a period in time. It was all based on this relationship and what this person
Yeah.
did to Tim that he still is haunted by, it sounds like. And I get the haunting in many ways because we've talked on this show before, especially Lincoln and myself, about the AIDS period where when we used to get those HIV tests, it was almost like a death sentence. You were going in to be told that you might be positive and you knew you maybe slipped up and you were convinced. And at those times they didn't have all of you equals you, and
Mhm.
it almost did seem like a death sentence and was for so many people, obviously, especially. But then if you take it back to and we're talking the 90s for myself in Lincoln. 82 was, deep diving in it. And Tim must have known tons of people that died from HIV and AIDS. And so that would be heavy, and then to be told that he's been sleeping with anything that walked, I would
Yeah.
feel the same way he would. I just wonder,
But for 43 years, that's a long
that part of
time.
it, right. So it was all based on that. I just wish that he could have, living alone. I think that's separate and a choice. And
Yeah.
some people might always want to live alone and not live with somebody, but you can be intimate with people and have connections with people if you maybe, he's linking those two together. And I think they can be separate points.
Yeah, and who's to say he didn't have romance or love in his well, he definitely probably had love. I'm sure he had a myriad of friends. He's Tim Gunn. He's like a shining
Yeah.
ball of energy and light. And so I'm sure he's had love in his life, but it's just to have those romantic and like intimate moments, I like cherish those. I look forward
Yeah.
to those so much. So, yeah, I know that he's happy, and
Yeah, I mean, it
I
sounds like
wish him
he
the best for
is,
him.
and
Yeah.
really honest to say that. And so, I mean, he comes across somewhat asexual, I would say. I mean, I don't think that's a stretch. No, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't mean
No,
it
I
in.
agree with
I
you.
don't
I
mean
just
it
didn't
in.
say it.
Yeah. So he certainly seems happy. I don't think he would have shared this story. I think he was really diving deep to share his perspective on it. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you kind of play it out, and that's a long time to be living with what somebody basically did to you. And
Yeah.
like I said, I get the trauma, but to not want to maybe try and deal with that portion of it, to maybe have some intimacy of some sort, whatever that could look like. So, and he didn't go into, like you said, he didn't go into other details. Like I've had intimate partners without being sexual, but that raises a lot of other questions too, because a lot of people, if you are going to be with somebody, then you want that, as well.
Yeah. I would
So,
love to talk to Tim Gunn about this. Let's
okay,
try
that
and
one
get
you
him
want
on
to
the
talk
show.
to, yes.
And not that DeAngelis guy. No, let's keep him over there where with those crazies.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, we've just learned that Francois Arnault, from Heated Rivalry, is bisexual. And yeah, so
We have hope.
we have hope. And he doesn't really care. He said in a recent live with Andy Cohen that he may have lose some jobs on that, but he needs to be honest for himself, and I think that's really good. We also learned that Hudson Williams of the same show, Heated Rivalry, has a long-term girlfriend that he nodded to, which I think is really great, and I think that speaks a lot to him. I think we can really, the other one, I think we can pretty much say,
Connor.
yeah,
Ugh,
is pretty
that's the
much.
one I want to have the most hope
Well, I think
for.
he's.
Because,
Aren't you?
woo,
Can we? I don't know if he's
you know
come out
what?
or not, but
I don't think he has, but I am hoping
I'm pretty
he.
sure.
We shouldn't lie. We should make conjecture, but I see some signs that
Yeah.
make me very hopeful. Let's just put it
Okay.
that way.
All right. So,
Because that's the one right there. Francois is beautiful. So is Hudson, but I don't
yeah,
know.
they're
Maybe it's
all.
him as
Yeah.
Ilya, but oh man, Connor
Exactly.
could get it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we love.
I'm over here. I'm sweating now. Whew.
I love it.
We might have to log off now.
Yeah. Just a couple bit of advice to give, and then you're on your way.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
When a recent Reddit thread kind of went viral, asking the questions, dozens of replies, basically said, do you usually thank the guy after a quickie? The original poster explained, it feels rude not to thank him for sharing himself, no matter how routine, anonymous, and maybe subpar it was, as long as they weren't rude, smelly, or condescending. Quote, I feel empty when the guy zips up and leaves without saying thanks, no matter 5 minutes or a long session, whether a bathhouse, cruise spot, or apartment or hotel. The 60 something continued. I believe I always say thanks, even if it's disappointed. Before we read some of these, I'm going to agree with this person. I mean, I do think there's certain things you just do that are polite. Now, whether it's somebody walking into the elevator in my building, I say hello, I greet, I hold a door open. If you did come over and we had fun, but it was great, subpar, well, if it was great, I might ask for a round two.
Oh
If it
yeah.
was subpar, I would still thank them because it's almost like leaving an interview. Even if you don't want the job, you want to leave on good terms and you might see this person around and what does it hurt to just say thank you? Well, the vast majority of responders said they say thank you afterwards as well. Somebody said I expressed my gratitude by saying it was fun, enjoyable, hot, etc. was a well-liked reply. Somebody said funny to see this posted because I was just laughing to myself how I always say thank you. About 80 to 90% of the time guys say it back. Somebody else said, I almost always thank them for having me over, even if it's clear to me both of us were not meeting up again. And if it looks promising enough to turn into a repeat, I definitely don't want to leave a positive impression, said a third. And of course, a Canadian said, it's unfathomable to me not to be polite. See, the Canadians, we got to love them.
Yeah. If they didn't have all
Yeah.
that snow.
Somebody said a small number of respondents said thank you, felt a little awkward. Somebody else said, I don't know about thanking him. I tell him I enjoyed it. If I didn't, I don't say that, obviously, and say we should do it again. Maybe it's rude of me, but thank you sounds like he did me a favor or something. He got something out of it too. Yeah, I don't think you owe it to anybody. It's for some of us, it's just kind of a polite thing. What do you do, Cody?
I always generally thank them. I think it's just ingrained in me. I used to live in the South for a while, so I tend to be a little bit more, gracious and make sure that people feel. I'm very concerned about how people feel and making sure that they feel good with what just transpired. There have been a couple times when, of course, I didn't really 100% enjoy myself, but then I would always thank them, give them a little peck, whether it be on the lips or the cheek, and say, we should do this again. It was fun. And even though, both of us know that it's not ever going to happen again. So, yeah, for me personally, I think it's always good to be gracious.
I think thank you. I think if you're going as far as we should do this again, could
Yeah,
be
I always say it.
misleading.
It's just like something that I say this and it's routine for me to say. So I it's just going to come out, and I'm done beating myself up about things that I can help, but that it transpire that
Yeah.
don't really mean necessarily.
Got it. Moving on. More advice here. Somebody wrote, is the grinder to sniffies a jump for anyone else? They write, I typically hate questions like the one I'm asking, laughing out loud. Am I the only one who yes, Bertha, it's just your dumb ass. Sniffies is a very intimidating platform to me. Grinder is a little less so. Am I in the wrong? Is this neutral? Am I just old? And here's what people were saying. How I describe it is Sniffies basically makes Grinder look like Christian Mingle. That's funny.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody said, I appreciate Grinder's no nudity more, I guess, because how are some people not like running their whole pic by a friend first? Not everyone has a nice dark star. Yeah, I think maybe Sniffies is a little bit more, it's cruising, and maybe that's what we're confusing it. If you don't like cruising in general, this is taking it to a platform and just doing it online. So usually when people are cruising, there might be a little subtlety, but you kind of have to get to business and let somebody know you're interested in them. So that was always the basis of Sniffies, especially when we had them on our show. That was what they were talking
Yeah.
about. If you don't like the original concept of cruising, then you might not like that. Where Grinder, yeah, I think you can hide behind a few more walls and put it out there a little bit lighter. But I don't know. I would prefer Sniffies over Grinder any day. What do you say?
I mean, I have fun on both, and I've gotten varying degrees of connections and experiences from both. So I feel like I've always said whatever you use, it's a tool, and however you want to use it is how you can use it. That being said, the connections I get on Snippies tend to be a little bit more sex driven. and the ones that I get on Grinder tend to they're still sex driven, but I feel like it's less intensely sexual, and I feel like it's more uh, uh, relational, and I feel like
Yeah.
those tend to be a little bit more calmer and not wham bam thank you ma'am-ish. And yeah, I think that Grinder is what it is. And I've my last relationship, we met on Grinder, so I feel like you can actually find friendships and relationships on there, as opposed to, generally speaking, just a lot more sexual encounters on Sniffies,
Yeah, and if
which
you're
I'm fine
looking,
with right
we
now.
are a sex podcast, and so that's why I think if I was to go on there, it would be more for sexual encounters, and that's why I
Yeah.
would like the Sniffies better. I also think that you don't have to put your picture out there, although maybe it will take a little bit longer to find that cruising connection, but you can also respond, on the bottom right of the platform. People,
Hmm.
you can put what you might be looking for in the next hour or so, or you can also respond to those too. So without putting your picture out onto the grid, if you will. And I find that could be a really good way too. If you're looking for sex right now and you don't want it to be so intense right away, just don't put your picture, but respond to ads or put your own ad out there. And I think that could be
Yeah.
really good advice as well.
And generally speaking, I'm not really looking to hook up immediately. I put that on my profile. I'm more of a plan ahead type guy, because
How
it's
far
just
ahead?
like a day,
Okay.
maybe sometime in the week. It's definitely not further than a week, because who's
Yeah.
gonna wait a week to have sex with somebody like a Sniffies type hookup?
Yeah.
I don't think
Right.
anybody. But I feel like for me, I let them know, right off the bat, that I'm not coming over to their house to have sex immediately. It's just I have to be in the mood. There's just, the stars have to align for me to actually get up and go have sex with somebody. And I would like to actually have a little mini conversation beforehand, just to make sure that you're real. There was this guy with Sniffies. I absolutely thought he was a catfish. And then he asked me to FaceTime. And
Oh,
so I FaceTimed him. And he's real. So hello, shout out. How you
that's
doing, boo?
good. I would use WhatsApp, I think, but
Yeah.
but it could probably still be tracked. Who knows? I'm not really
Yeah.
doing all this, but yeah,
Tech savvy.
I do think good you did, are you a real person and they were more than willing to give you a call is great.
Yeah.
So,
It was fun
yeah.
too. He's a nice guy. He lives in New Jersey though. So we'll see.
Alright, well, yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure you told him. We'll do this again. You
Right
can let us
after the call,
know.
I was like, yeah, let's chat again soon. I
Yeah.
definitely said that, but we'll
Oh,
see
I'm
what
sure you
happens.
did. Oh my gosh. Again, continued prayers, thoughts. We'll keep talking about what's going over in Puerto Vallarta, that they get, back up and running really soon. We are live on Wednesday for Tags Live, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. Get the link at tagspodcast.com, or better yet, go to our Tags Patreon community, which I mentioned at patreon.com/Tags Podcast. Follow Cody on the gram at Mr. Maurice, as well as on Blue Sky. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. And in the meantime, continue having hot
What?
gay
Yay.
sex. Lovely.